Charon is still connected to its lander. And if you recall, we actually placed a device on that lander. A probe, I mean, rather, the Staputnik. Now, the reason why I did that is because the lander that we've attached to our main Charon launch system is actually detachable. In fact, I can actually do that right now. Let me just go retrograde here. I don't think we have to go retrograde technically, but we'll do it anyway, just for the sake of actually working on our own. Noonie looks quite panicked, actually. His friend is gone, and as far as he knows, he has no way to get back to Kerbin. Which is actually true. We can't actually land anything else here. He's stuck in space, as far as we're concerned, and he's going to be here for the undetermined amount of time in the future. So, first things first, I am going to check our fuel, make sure that our main thrust right here has its full fuel. Everything from above... Actually, you know what? We've got better light over here. Everything from what I've got highlighted now, this door, this docking port right here, up to the top here, is optimized for fuel. So it's going to detach from the lower lander. The lower lander will stay here in orbit around the moon. Like so. There. Now we are detached from our lander. And if we press our RCS and slightly nudge ourselves forward, we can officially detach from the Charon lander right here. So now we have two things that are orbiting the moon right now. The Charon probe and the Charon. Let's go to the probe. This device right here, which is now departing from our Noonie person. This right here, everything that you see floating away from what we have right now, this is the official Charon. That's going to be exploring every place, or most of the places on the moon. Or not on the moon, but in the solar system. Now then, I'm going to rename this vessel, because Charon probe doesn't quite sound right, so we're going to rename this thing. We're going to call it the Class C, C referring to Charon, Class C Moon Mapsat Lander. Because I guess technically if we really wanted to, we actually could put this thing back down on the planet. But I think it's going to be more helpful to have this thing stay in orbit, because that way we can get free science and free funding whenever the mission eventually calls for it. So, what I'm going to do from now on is treat this thing like a Mapsat. Actually, first thing I'm going to do is unset that as a target. I'm going to go to our ApoApps, and I'm going to give it a polar orbit. There we go. So if we're consistent and push this purple node right here in conjunction with our green retrograde, we should eventually attain a satisfying... Whoa. There. It honestly doesn't have to be perfect. I think if we get it close enough, it should be fine. How's that? There we go. Okay, so about there. I'm not sure how much fuel we have to burn to actually attain that orbit. Probably not much. Ooh, we can do some more science while we're here. The gravity scan can be done. Where is that gravity? Where's my gravity? There it is. So let us grab some more gravity science. Already, we're transmitting 24 science from this active probe. This probe can easily give us as much science as we want to, at any point, as long as we, still have the capacity for that science. So right away, we just got 24 extra science for basically doing nothing. You know what? If we're persistent with this, we probably could actually get one of the, either the probe piece or the ion thrusters, just by sitting here in orbit and waiting long enough for our science monitor to update new information. And here we go. Now, what might seem dangerous is that for a split second, when we're doing this burn, our periapse is actually going to dip into the planet, or rather the moon, as you can see. But, as we continue the burn and stay persistent with it, it'll eventually catch up to this position where it should stay in place. See that? There we go. Now we're safe again. And okay, well, not really perfect, but that should be good enough for our purposes. You'll notice at the bottom there that we're actually starting to see some of the map come into fruition right up there on the screen. Oh wow, we still have quite a bit of fuel on this thing, actually, I realize. We probably could land this if we really wanted to, but no, it's better to keep it up in orbit, because that just makes more sense, honestly, as far as saving energy. Anyway, as I was saying, let's put ourselves in a position where we actually do get some new science on that monitor display right there. Okay, high poles. There we go. So I'm going to hit the number 2. Of course, we're going to transmit some more science. While it was cut out, I was actually gathering more science while preparing ourselves to put ourselves in this node. And already we have 204 science. Or we might even have even more, actually. Hold on just a moment. 228 science. So just by hanging out here long enough, we probably could get enough science to grab new technology. I'll do that off screen, though, for your convenience. So, now then, the new Mapsat that we've established is in more or less the position I want it to be in. As we look on the map right here, this window, we'll see it gradually map out more of the area. And really, that's all we need to worry about. From here on out, we're going to focus on the Charon, the final aspect of the current mission that we're working on. So let's get back. Let's see if we can find the Charon. There it is. Now then, the first thing I want to do is to put this back in its in orbit around Kerbin. You might have a few questions about how this particular bit is actually going to adventure to everywhere in the solar system. For example, you may obviously have noted the obvious that that our Science Junior and our Mystery Goo experiments have already been blanked out. When Bill grabbed the science from them, they became inoperable or unusable. But there's actually a trick that lets us make these pieces usable again. And we'll be using that Science Junior and those 2 Goo experiments for the majority of our future missions, believe it or not. What we have to do is we first have to put ourselves back in orbit around Kerbin, and then, once we're there, we're going to build another part, a much more, rather, a much bigger part of the Charon, and then we'll attach it to the bottom of the main mission down here, through at the docking port right here, where we used to have our lander connected to. We're going to instead be using it for our other parts of the Charon, which we will then send to Eve as a whole. Now, before I forget, I'm going to retract the ladder, because I think if we try to connect anything to this lower stage while the ladder is deployed, it might mess up the docking procedures. Anyway, what I want to do is get us back into an orbit around Kerbin, as I was saying before. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, we're about to launch, but as we do, let me just show you something real quick that I found that's cool. The original Armstrong landing site that we landed at a little while ago. It's kind of cool that we're floating over that just before we have to commit to the burn here. Which I'm going to do right... Well, actually, I'm quick saving first, just to make sure that I don't screw this up. Because I'm actually not sure how much we have to burn, because our burn time is not available. And it's obviously not going to be 27 minutes. I'll wait until we're about a minute above and then commit to the burn. And if that's not what we're supposed to do, then I will... Oh, hold on. I haven't initiated this part of the stage. There we go. And let's again keep an eye on our resources here, because we got quite a bit of power that we're thrusting under. 30... Perfect! Okay, that's exactly what I was aiming for. So, with that, we say farewell to the moon, the Aldrin location, and prepare to go home. We have a ton of fuel left on this thing. Just in case you didn't realize how this is exactly working, most of our fuel is coming from this main tank right here, which is about, oh wow, not even 3/4 of the way done. That fuel then leaks into this main, into 4 smaller thrusters on the side connected to fuel tanks. So this alone has a ton of fuel, and it needless to say. We might be able to get something this involved out to Eve, but frankly, even if we do get to Eve with this thing, A, we'd have no way to get Noonie back with the amount of fuel that we have, and we'd be able to do very limited science at best. I'd rather send a larger mission there as a whole. Anyway, we've already passed our periap, so again we're in safe condition. Let's get back to Kerbin and prepare for our final burn of the mission. Or of the initial mission that we've launched. Here we go. Is this orbit even? Not quite. It's close, but I think it's slightly off kilter. We're gonna have to see once we get close enough. Oh. Let's see. Hold on. Now, this burn is going to probably be a little bit intensive, so I'm probably going to want to start burning early before the T- node. Well, we can do it in a couple of different versions. I'll try starting early first and seeing if that helps at all. Maybe about a minute. Oh, hold on. We can gather some more science. 8 science. Sure, why not? Let's give ourselves 8 science, just for the heck of it. The science monitor is a very useful mod to have, ladies and gentlemen. In fact, while just waiting for us to reach the node to get ourselves away from the moon, we've actually given ourselves 300 science, so now I can grab another project, or another piece of the technology tree. Either the ionic thrusters or the, oh, more of that. Either some of the ionic thrusters or the probe parts. Did we do it? We did it! Okay, we now have the orbit that we want, precisely. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are set. And the orbit is almost perfect. I'll take it, though. So, Charon is in the position that I want it to be, so that we can now dock other devices to it. And Noonie gets a little look back home, too. Let's actually look at what he... Oh. Hold on a second, guys. I realize I may have done something really silly here. Let's get into the sunlight and then it'll become more obvious. Here, I'll show you. Let's go to IVA. This is supposed to be a really epic window that we've installed in the upper area. But I was silly. I put the Science Junior right on the center window. See? So Noonie has a very nice look at the bottom of a Science Junior. Okay, so, with plenty of fuel left on this device, mainly in these side thrusters, of course, we are now set. So Charon will sit here in orbit for a while. Noonie will continue to be alone, but not for very long, because we're going to set a new mission up here to meet Noonie. And that'll get us one step closer to reaching Eve. But for now, we leave him. To gather his thoughts, to appreciate the view of home, or at least the view of the Science Junior. And we gathered enough science while we were up there to collect one more piece. Let's take a look at the pros and cons of each piece. We've got the ionic propulsion. So that's propulsion with just energy, which is really useful. But we also have unmanned tech. Probe piece and a smaller probe piece. Huh. Actually, these aren't that impressive on their own right. Are the other probe pieces? Kinda. Let's see here. I'm gonna go for the ion propulsion. There we go. Just because I think they'll be a little bit handier to have with us. So, that's all we're going to do for this episode. Now that we've completed the first phase of Project Charon. And while we're here, let's see if there's any other missions that we want to deal with right now. Basic jet engine splashdown at Eve. Hold on, look at this. It's another opportunity to do some Eve missions. Jet engine. We haven't played with engines before. Do we even have any? I don't know. I might take this. You know what? This is an engineering challenge. Of course we'll accept it. So, that's as far as we're going to go for today. In the next episode, we are going to start making plans to join another piece of Charon to the main one that's currently floating out in space. Until then, though, this is Hardwick. Stay tuned, and good night.